Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Sadashiva-Samārambhām
Samaram
Shankaracharya-Madhyamām
Shankaracharya-madhyamam
Asmadacharya-Paryantam
Asmadacharya-paryantam
Om
Vande
Guru
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 Parampara
Paramparam.
Paramparam.
Om
Om
Sahana
Sahana
Bhavatu
Bhavatu
Sahana
Sahana
Bhunaktu Saha
Bhunaktu
Bhunaktu
Veeryam
Saha
Karavavahai
Veeram
Sahaviryam
Karavavahai
Karavavahai
Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma
Tejasvinavadhitamastu-ma-vidvishavahai.
Vidvishavahai.
Navadvishavahai.
Om
Om
Shanti
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 Shanti.
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 Om Tat Sat Hari Om.
Om Tat Sat. Hari Om.
Om Tat Sat.
So we were on the sixth mantra of Kaivalya Upanishad. We had not completed. So we will just chant it again. Hrit Pundarikam Virajam Vishuddham
Hritpundarikam
Ritpundarikam
Vishuddham
Vichintya Madhye Vishadham Vishokam
Vichintya Madhye Vishadam
Vishadam
Vishokam
Vishokam
Achintyam Avyaktamanantarupam
Achintam
Achintyam
Avyaktam Anantarupam
Anantarupam
Shivam Prashantam Amritam Brahmayonim
Shivam
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 Prashantam
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 Amritam
Amritam
Brahmayonim
Brahmayonim
Tathadi Madhyanta Vihinamekam
Tatha
Tatati Madhyanta
Madhyanta
Vihinamekam
Vihinamekam
Vibhum Jidanandam Rupamadbhutam
Vibhum
Vibhum Chidanandam Rupam
Chidanandarupamadbhutam.
Adbhutam.
So in the last class we had seen up to Prashantam Amritam Brahma Yonim. So we look at the rest of it. Tatha Adi Madhyantam Vihinam. Tatha Adi Madhyanta Vihinam. So Tatha Adi Madhya Anta Vihinam. Vihinam is without. So Adi, beginning, Madhya, middle, Anta, end. And therefore Lord Shiva is free from a beginning, a middle, and the end. So this we saw in Vishwarupa also in chapter 11 of the Gita, where Arjuna says, anybody remembers Arjuna's definition? The words in Gita 11, chapter 11.
It was the same Adi Madhyanta Anantarupa.
Yeah, except instead of Vihinam, he used another word, Rahitam. He says Adi Madhyanta Rahitam, he says. So same idea. And remember that this idea of beginningless without middle and endless will be applicable to both Vishwarupa as well as Arupa Ishvara. But it is not applicable for Ekarupa Ishvara. Because in the Ekarupa form, even Ishvara is finite or limited. He appears and he disappears, right? He takes the one form, appearing and disappearing. Therefore, the beginninglessness, endlessness is not applicable. And when we say this free from these three, you have to apply it to Desha and Kala also. So there is Desha Paricheda Rahitam, means its spatial limitation is not there. And Kala Paricheda Rahitam, temporal or time limitation is not there. So in short, what is being said is that Lord Shiva is all-pervading and eternal, Nitya, Sarvagataha, etc. So this is also, uh, given in the Puranas also. And there is a story which is usually narrated during Shivaratri about Brahma and Vishnu. They had a competition of who will find the beginning and the end of Shiva. So Brahma flew upwards to find the head, and Vishnu took the form of a boar and went down into the earth to find the feet. And what was the end? Neither of them succeeded. So the idea illustrates, though it's a story, the idea of the story is the same here. The Vishwarupa Ishvara, Vishwarupa Shiva, has no beginning and no end. And then the next word is Ekam. How do you connect Ekam to what we have done so far, we are saying that everything is Shiva. So if everything is Shiva, there cannot be another, right? Everything has to be Shiva means there cannot be a second. And therefore, Eka is all that is available. And therefore, Vishwarupa Shiva and Vishwarupa Vishnu, are they different? They are not. They are the same. In fact, if this idea is properly understood by every religion, there will never be a religious quarrel. Unfortunately, this is not understood because everybody takes their Lord as the only Lord. And nobody wants to say that Shiva is the same as Vishnu or Vishnu is the same as Brahma. Nobody will ever say that. Or Christ or Allah. Then the next word is Vibhum. So Vibhum is Vividam Bhati Iti Vibhuhu. Bhati means appearance, manifestation. Vividham means in many forms. So Vividam Bhati, that which appears in manifold forms, iti vibhuhu. So Shiva is in the form of space also, in the form of Vayu also, and therefore Vividha Rupena Eka Shiva. Whatever forms are there, all of one Shiva only. And obviously, when you say all that, Shiva is also in the form of all the Panchabhutas. And if those of you who are, going to temples would know that there are temples called Kshetrams, Linga Kshetrams, dedicated to each Panchamahabhuta. Do you know any of them? There's one most
I
famous
think
one,
told us about
Chidambaram is supposed to be for space.
Chidambaram is
And
Akasha Lingam.
Akashalingam, yeah.
Correct.
Then Ekambaram is Earth, Prithvi.
Prithvi is Kanchipuram.
Okay, Kanchipuram, okay.
And Vayu is Kalahasti. And Agni Lingam is Tiruvannamalai. And Jalalingam is called
Jambunatha,
Jambukeshwar
Jambukeshwar,
Kshetra.
yeah,
Maybe
Jambukeshwar.
Tiruvannamalai. Okay, so these are the five. So we have the dedication here simply means that we are not taking even the Panchabhutas as Jadavastu. We are saying Shiva alone is there in these forms also. Then Chidanandam, of course, is Chit and Anandam. That Shiva, who is the very principle of consciousness and Ananda. Now we have seen the five features of consciousness, right? Many times. Because starting with Tattva itself, we talked about the five features of consciousness. We have to remember that those same five features have to be mutatis mutandis, as they say, applied to Ananda also. So Ananda, I'm talking about the principle, not reflected Ananda. Ananda is not a part, a product, a property of the mind. That is the first one. Ananda is a independent entity which pervades the mind occasionally. And no, actually it pervades the mind all the time. And depending upon the thoughts in the mind becomes happy. Then Ananda is not limited by the boundaries of the mind. Ananda continues to exist even after the mind is gone, is destroyed, disintegrated. And that surviving Ananda is not available because there is no medium for its manifestation. It is the same thing as consciousness principle. This is a principle, right? It's not the reflected Ananda. Then the next one is Arupam. Chidanandam, Arupam, Bhutam. Arupam is formless. And this description is applicable to only the Shiva in the form of Nirguna Art. And Arupam has been said, but we have seen four other descriptions in Kathopanishad. Arupam, Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arasam, and Agandham. I hope all of you all are familiar with these things. Okay, I'm taking it for granted that it's an advanced Upanishad class, so I'm not explaining. If anybody doesn't understand, please ask. And Tatha Adbhutam. Adbhutam means which is a great wonder. Now, what does that mean? Why this Adbhutam used over here? Because that Shiva, what is the greatest wonder about that Shiva? That Shiva is nobody but you yourself. And that is why, as long as you search for that Shiva, you are a sadhaka. If you are a sadhaka, you can never be Shiva. You have to make that claim. Am I Shiva? Am I sadhaka? As long as you are sadhaka, remember, you will be sadhaka. And after 25 years or 40 years of study, you will still come and ask, I have not got experience of Shiva. There's no experience possible because Shiva is you. So that you could create such a mithya universe and then live in it without realizing that you are the creator, that is the greatest adbhuta, greatest wonder. And in this mantra, if you remember, if you see, there is no verb, you know, it's simply descriptions, simply adjectives. What should be the verb in this mantra? What is the point of saying all these things? The Shiva is, incomprehensible, unmanifest, auspicious, tranquil, immortal.
These are the aspects we should meditate upon.
Excellent. So, sadhaka should do meditation upon this. And at some point of time, we have to meditate saying that I am not the sadhaka, I am the Shiva. Okay. So, if you remember, at the end of the 11th chapter, after Vishwarupa Ishvara reveals himself, Krishna reveals himself as Vishwarupa Ishvara, what does Arjuna say at the end?
He is not able to tolerate, he says.
He's not able to tolerate. So that's a very, important idea there. That the appreciation of universal form of the Lord, Vishwarupa Ishvara, Vishwarupa Shiva, for example. It's called Vishwarupa Bhakti, the devotion which accepts everything that is there in the universe. And that everything includes your diseases, your old age, and the death of the body. These are all part of Vishwarupa. And therefore, you can't say that I am a bhakta of Vishwarupa Ishvara, but I don't want to get old, or I don't want creases on my face, or I don't want this body to die. Because diagonally opposite ideas. One is you're accepting Vishwarupa Ishvara in totality, because that is what is total bhakti, total devotion. At the same time, how can you reject what is an integral part of Vishwarupa? Birth, death, old age, disease, suffering, everything is integral part of Vishwarupa. Right? So either you reject the old age, death, and disease totally, or you accept both. This is the only way to do this bhakti. What is meant by accepting both? You are a Vishwarupa, Ishvara, Bhaktaha. You are in duality, but you are saying that, okay, I accept this. And then you try to get Chitta-Shuddhi. When you reject both, what are you saying? No? So let me repeat. When you accept birth, death, disease, old age, generation, degeneration, samyoga, viyoga, everything, you are a bhakta of Vishwarupa Ishvara. You are a Saguna Ishvara Bhakta. Right? When you reject both, or all, I mean, birth and death, youth and old age, generation, degeneration, samyoga, viyoga. When you reject all this, you are rejecting all the attributes. And therefore, you are a
Nirguna.
Nirguna Ishvara Bhakta. So, either way, you have to accept both. Both, both pairs. Both means the pairs, the birth, death, the youth and old age, the generation and degeneration. All that you have to accept. Then you are Saguna Ishvara. And you have chance to get to Chitta Shuddhi. If you are rejecting both, you are a Nirguna Ishvara Bhakti. You are already going to get into Jnana. I will just mute. That. Okay. When you accept only one of these, it is a sure recipe for samsara. If you say, I am okay with birth, but I am not okay with death. If you say, I am okay with being young, but I am not okay with being old, then samsara is there for you. And that's what was conveyed in the Bhagavad Gita also, through that example where Arjuna is not ready. So he is in samsara. Okay. So we are talking about Vishwarupa Ishvara so far, right? And Nirguna Ishvara, Arupa Ishvara. Now we have to come to Ekarupa Ishvara. This is the same pattern you followed in chapter 12. First Arupa Ishvara, then Vishwarupa Ishvara, then Ekarupa Ishvara. So in the next mantra, we are looking at the Ekarupa Ishvara. So we will chant mantra number 7. Uma Sahayam Parameshwaram Prabhum
Uma Sahayam Parameshwaram
परमेश्वरं प्रभुं
Trilochanam Neelakantham Prashantam
त्रिलोकचनं नीलकण्ठं
Nilakantam
प्रशान्तम्
Prashantam
Dhyatva Munirgachati Bhutayonim
ध्यात्वा
Yatva
ध्यात्वा
Nirgachati
मुनिर्गच्छति
Bhutayonim
भूतयोनिम्
Samastasakshim Tamasah Parastat
समस्तसाक्षिं तमसः
Samastasakshim
परस्तात्
Tamasah Parastat
Dhyatva, having done meditation, upon whom Prashantam, peaceful, tranquil, Parameshwaram, the Lord, Uma Sahayam, who is the consort of Uma, Parvati, and Prabhum, who is the Lord, with Triloka Chanam, 3 eyes, Neelakantham, blue throat, and Munihi Gachati. So the Munihi Gachati is to be connected to Dhyatva. Having meditated upon such a Lord, the Munihi, the meditator, Gachati, goes to, achieves Bhutayonim, the source of all things, and Samasta Saksham, witness of everything, Parastat Tamasaha, beyond Maya. So here we are taking Lord Shiva as Ekarupa Ishvara. We are taking Lord Shiva here because of the description which talks about 3 eyes and blue throat. But it can be any Ishvara, any Lord you believe in, any one form you believe in. You are invoking the Ishvara upon that. And this Shiva, in the context of this mantra, Uma Sahayam. So Sahayam means along with, right? So the one who is along with Uma Devi. So in Vedantic sense here, Shiva and Uma are what? Vedantic interpretation. It's pretty simple actually.
Brahman and Maya.
Brahman and Maya. And therefore Parameshwaraha. Brahman Sahita Maya is Ishvaraha, Lord of the universe. And what is this Lord? Prabhum. Very powerful. Why very powerful? Because Srishtikarta, Sthitikarta, Layakarta. He has these 3 powers. And Trilochanam, the one with 3 eyes. So 2 eyes see the Dvaita universe. And the third eye sees what? Third eye is the Jnana Chakshu. We saw this in Gita also. Third eye sees Advaitam. So two eyes see Dvaitam, and the third eye sees Advaitam. That is why there is in Puranic stories, when they say Shiva wants to destroy something, what does he do?
He
Open the third
Open
eye.
the third eye.
third
So
eye.
opening the third eye is symbolic. When you see Advaitam, will Dvaitam remain? No. Because the moment you see Advaitam, Dvaitam vanishes. That is what is the Vedantic implication, interpretation of three eyes. Now, if you want to look at Vishwarupeshwara, there is another interpretation for three eyes. They represent Surya, Chandra, and Agni. So in many Puranas, you'll find the right eye is Surya, the left eye is Chandra, and Agni is the third eye. And there is, so we saw Akshi Purushaha, the Ishvara invoked on the right eye. Where did we see that?
In the previous mantras.
Anyway, I'll leave it to you. When you find it out, let me know. Then Neelakantha, the one who is blue-necked. Okay. Now again, you can look at it from two angles. From the Puranic story of Lord Shiva swallowing the halahala poison, right?
Mm.
And how does the poison remain in his neck? That's a nice
Because
story,
Parvati
actually.
stops it.
Yeah, Parvati sees her husband swallowing this poison and says, "What a dumb fellow! Let me go and save him." So he goes and holds his throat, and the poison stops over there. Okay, so women have always thought men are dumb from long ago, so there's no problem. Anyway, in Vishwarupeshwara, the blue sky represents the neck of the Lord. If you're looking at Vishwarupeshwara imagery, the blue sky represents the neck of the Lord, and all the planets and stars are all the various abharanams, the jewelry of the Lord. There's Neelakantham. Prashantam. Prashantam is always tranquil, meditating, right? And where does Shiva meditate?
Kailasha?
Well, anybody else?
The cremation grounds.
In the cremation grounds. Okay. He always meditates at the cremation grounds, at the Samshan Ghat. And that actually there are very many stories about why he meditates, interpretations. One is that it signifies that there is no fear of death in Shiva. And that is why he sits there. Because most people feel very creepy going to the cremation ground. Like everybody like dies and goes there. And there's another very one beautiful interpretation given by someone. He says many people, because of their prarabdha, busy lives, of course, not enough prarabdha also, not enough good prarabdha, they don't go to temples. Even the atheists, they don't go to temples. And therefore, they don't come to take the blessings of Lord Shiva. But Lord Shiva is a very compassionate person. So he says that at least once they must see me. And therefore he sits in a place where everybody, even a Nastika, will definitely come at least once. What is that place? The Samshan Ghat, the cremation ground. That's a very nice story that I've read somewhere. Then Bhuta Yonim. Bhuta Yonim means Yoni is the womb. Bhuta is the beings. Bhuta Yonim is Jagat Karana. So this is Bhuta Yonim is another phrase used for Ishvara, Maya, Sahita, Brahman. So Yoni and Bhutaha, these are the words used over here. And we have also seen this Bhuta Yoni word in Mundaka. So from now on, whichever Upanishad we are seeing, you will find that the ideas are being repeated. Different words, different phrases, but the basic idea is the same. And then samasta shakshi, the witness of everything, right? So that one all-pervading Atma reveals all the minds. And that same Atma reveals all the 14 lokas. And therefore, samasta shakshi, the sakshi of everything. And we saw this in Tameva Bhantam Manubhati Sarvam Tasya Bhasa Sarvavidam Vibhati. Therefore, Atma is Sakshi, Sarva Sakshi. And again, this Atma Sarva Sakshi is Arupa Ishvaha, Arupa Shivaha. Then Tamasaha Parastat. Now here, Tamas has to be very carefully interpreted as Maya. It's not the Tamoguna part of it. It is Maya, which is Trigunatmika Maya, Tamaha. And Parastat has to be interpreted as beyond, not as spatially different, as beyond. And therefore, it's like it's saying that this Brahman, he is, since he's all pervading, he is pervading Maya also. The matter also he pervades, but he is not affected by it because he is beyond being affected by anything. And therefore, Tamasa Parastat can be clearly understood as Asangaha, which cannot be touched, which cannot be affected. Right? It's a very important idea. And that is why while in your body, the body does not compromise consciousness principle. And therefore, you can do your sadhana in the body itself. There is no point, no need to get away from the body or the world or your mind. So even when you are sitting in the body and the mind, you are still Brahman, who is Asangaha. The body-mind complex is Maya, which is Vyavaharika. And when the body-mind complex is disturbed, you can still claim that the body-mind is being disturbed, but I am not. And therefore, one fine principle is there that whatever happens in this material world, or in the body, or in the mind, you are not affected, not because you are far away, but you are not touchable, right? It is like the smoke which the room can accommodate, but that smoke cannot contaminate the room. Okay. This is all descriptions of Shiva. And what should you do? Dhyatva. You should meditate on which, because we have seen three levels of Shiva. What is that? Ishtadevata Shiva, that is Ekaropa Shiva, Vishwaropa Shiva, and Arupa Shiva. And Dhyatva is meditate upon which level and whichever level that you find yourself. Right? You have to take that analysis of your own uh, understanding, which appeals most to you. And then on that you meditate. Remember that you have to meditate. The Nidhyasana has to be done. And don't say, I don't have time. Duties will always be there. For everybody, there are duties. But you can always find the time. And thankfully, the Lord has given us this early morning, 4:30 to 5:30 to 6:30. You can always find that time. So duties will be there. But, and if you say that I will, meditate after my duties are over, it's like, there was a guy who wanted to take a dip in the ocean. But he said, okay, only after all the waves subside, I will dip. Did he ever have a dip? No, it will not happen. And if you do this meditation, Munihi, the meditator, you, Gachati, will attain Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikyam, which is moksha. Right? Earlier we said that Shiva, Achintyam, Avyaktam, everything. Now you can say it is not Shiva who is Achintyam, Avyaktam. It is I who am Achintam, Avyaktam. And this is the highest one, which Krishna also talked about. He says that highest bhakta is a person who thinks he is the Lord. Which chapter? Which chapter 6? Shiva say that.
6.
No. Anyway, please take that as homework. When you're ready, let me know. Put it in the group. Okay, we go to the next mantra, mantra number 8. स ब्रह्म स शिवस्येन्द्रः
सब्रह्मस्वसेन्द्रः
सोऽक्षरः परमस्वराट्
सोऽक्षर परमस्वराट्
स एव विष्णुः स प्राणः
स एव विष्णुः
विष्णुः
स
स
प्राणः
प्राणः
स कालोऽग्निः स चन्द्रमा
कालोऽग्निः स चन्द्रमा
Now in these mantras, again, meditation instructions are there, right? So Saha Brahma, that meditator is Brahma. Saha Shiva, he is Shiva. Saha Indra, he Indra also. Saha Paramaha, he is the Supreme One. Saha Aksharaha, he cannot die, he is imperishable. So this Akshara is not alphabet, it is imperishable. Swarat, he is the self-effulgent one, self-revealing one. Sa eva Vishnu, he himself is Vishnu. Saprana, he is Pranaha. Sakalaha, he is time. Agnihi, he is fire itself. And Sachandrama, he is the moon. So in this Arupa Ishvara Dhyana, you are meditating upon the formless Ishvara. And in that meditation, you have no identity other than Ishvara, formless Ishvara. And therefore, the Arupa Ishvara is the meditator. Or you can say that Arupa Ishvara is Brahman. And you, the meditator, are Atman. So here you are setting up the equation. The Brahmaiva Atmaha, Atmaiva Brahmaha. The Brahman is Atman, Atman is Brahman. That equation is setting up in this particular meditation. And this formless Brahman, even though formless, assumes all the forms, is invoked on all the forms. And therefore, any deity you have, any name, any form, is nothing but Brahman. And therefore, remember that in spite of all the Puranic stories, Devatas do not fight. Only the Bhaktas fight. Gods don't fight, devotees do. And that is why we have that saying, Ekkam Sat Vipraha Bahudha. There is only one truth, but it can be talked about in various ways. So he is giving a list of what all manifestations of Brahma are there, of Brahman are there. Sa Brahma, he is everything. That Ekatma alone appears as Brahmaji. So this Brahma is Lord Brahman, Hiranyagarbha. That Ekatma appears as Hiranyagarbha, where in Vyavaharika Satyam. So this is Chaturmukha Brahma, not Nirguna Brahman. So Eva Vishnu. Vishnu is another name for the same Nirguna Brahman. Only with this name and form can the Nirguna Brahman carry out functions in the Vyavaharika Prapancha. He needs Maya to carry out the function of creation, maintenance, and dissolution. And that's why three different names are there: Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Nirguna Brahman without a form is powerless to create, to maintain, or to destroy. Srishti, Sthiti, Layakarta necessarily means Brahman plus Maya. If you remember Gita. Tasya kartaram api mam vidhi akartaram avyayam. So what does it mean? With the donning the dress of Maya, I am Srishti, Sthiti, Layakarta. Tasya kartaram api mam. When I put on the Maya dress, I am the creator, maintainer, destroyer. When I lay down the Maya dress, akartaram avyayam, I am Nirguna Brahman, not capable of doing anything. Right? Right. Thus, what is the idea of this description? You, Jivatma, can put on the equivalent of the Maya, which is your body, mind, and intellect, and go through this drama of life. When you are in meditation, you can drop the body mind complex intellectually and claim that you are Nirguna Brahman. Both roles you can play, you can enjoy both the roles. And Sashivaha is that Shiva. Whenever he puts the Shiva dress, he is Shiva. So Brahmaji uses Sattva Guna for visualizing the creation. Right? And then he uses Rajoguna for the actual creation. Vishnu uses which guna for maintenance?
Rajoguna.
Sattva. And of course, Shiva uses Tamaguna for dissolution. But even though it is Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva using different gunas, ultimately it is only one Brahman using one Maya with all the three gunas. Then Saha Indraha, that Nirguna Brahman alone plays the role of Indra. So Pranaha, so Pranaha in this context means Samashti Prana, which is Hiranyagarbha. Therefore, that Nirguna Brahman plays the role of Hiranyagarbha. Sakalaha, he is he is Kalaha, the time principle. Right? So what first manifests during creation is always time. And Maya Sahita Brahman or Maya Sahita consciousness is the definition of time. And therefore it is said that Ishvara himself is time. So Agni, he is the fire. So this word Saha refers to Nirguna Brahman, which also manifests as what? As Agni Tattvam in the world. Sachandrama, he is the moon. In short, all the Devatas you see are not different. They are different roles, different dresses being worn by the same Nirguna Brahman. Every appearance is a Saguna appearance. So we call it Sopadika Swarupam. Saha Sa Upadika Swarupam. The Swarupam with an Upadi. Therefore, Saguna appearance. All Devatas are Saguna appearances of the one and same Nirguna Brahman. And therefore, if you take away all the appearances, the dresses, what is revealed? Nirupadika Brahman, which is Nirguna Brahman. And what is the nature? Swarat. Swarat means self-revealing, self-effulgent. Swayam Prakashaha. And Saparamaha, he is the supreme one, is the absolute principle. And the absolute principle, only when associated with Maya, becomes Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Without that, no description is possible. Aksharaha, he is the one without any change. So, Nasharaha yati aksharaha, that which does not decay is aksharaha. And therefore it is eternal. Therefore, we have to remember that Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, they are all subject to modification because they create, they maintain, they destroy. Modification is there. Nirguna Brahman alone is absolute and changeless. And that Nirguna Brahman you are. So this is the nature of the Atmaya. What is that? In short, as Shankaracharya put it very beautifully, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. The same idea is being talked about in the next mantra also, which we will read. Mantra number 9. स एव सर्वं यद्भुतम्
स एव सर्वं यद्भुतं
यच्च भव्यं सनातनम्
यच्च भव्यं
यच्च भव्यं
सनातनं
सनातनम्
ज्ञात्वा तं मृत्युमत्येति
ज्ञात्वा
ज्ञात्वा
तं
तं
मृत्युमत्येति
मृत्युमत्येति
नान्यः पन्था विमुक्तये
नान्यः
नान्यः पन्था
पन्था
विमुक्तये
विमुक्तये
स एव सर्वम्. He alone is everything. Which everything? Yadbhutam, which was there in the past. Yatcha, which is there today, in the present. And Bhavyam, which will be there in the future. And Gyatva Tam Sanatanam, having known such an eternal one, Sanatanam, Atyeti Mrityum, one goes beyond mortality, one transcends mortality. Na anya pantaha vimuktaye. There is no other path. Na anya pantaha. There is no other path. Vimuktaye for moksha, for liberation. So, Brahmaji summing up. Sa eva sarvam. Everything in creation is Brahman alone. That Nirvana Brahman is Sarvam. And what does Sarvam mean? He explains. Yad Bhutam, everything which was there in the past. Yad Bhavyam, everything which will be there in the future. Yat Cha, Vartamanaha, which is everything, including the present. Therefore, both Bhavat Bhavyam, past, present, and future. What should you do? Gyatva Tam Sanatanam. You should know that eternal Brahman, Sanatanam, eternal Brahman, as yourself. And once you know that this Brahman is yourself, Mrityum Atyeti, Mrityum Atyeti, you go beyond mortality. Right? You cannot retain an individual identity and attain mortality. Individual identity means form. Form means mortality. And therefore, if you understand that this human identity is not your nature, that your real nature is consciousness principle, Brahman, then only you are beyond the grip of Kala, time. But as long as we are identifying with the five anatmas, you will be terrified of karma and kala. You are subject to karma and time. So this five anatmas is a term which is very nicely used by SPG. I think we have talked about it before. What are they? Pancha anatma.
possessions,
Yes. Possessions.
obligations, relationships.
No, that's different.
That
Family,
Family.
profession,
Profession, possession, family, and the body and the mind. Right? These are your five anatmas. So of all this, profession is anxieties associated with your career. Therefore, it's definitely anatma because it belongs to the world. Possession is anxiety associated with possessions. Again, anatma. Family, anxiety associated with the welfare of the family. And therefore, mental disturbances, again, anatma. Body. Body is, of course, subject to prarabdha. And the mind. Of all these five, there is control exercisable only on some, restricted control exercisable only on the mind because you can change your attitude, right? So we should understand that even this control in the mind is very minimal. But if you go up this ladder of position of body, the mind is the lowest. Mind, body, family, possession, profession. You'll find that your control becomes less and less. From one is the least control, profession. And 5, the mind is some amount of control, right? But it is better to understand them as, you know, as you yourself as the contributor. You can contribute to the well-being of these 5, but ultimately there is no absolute control possible. And if you have to think of moksha as absolute control over anatma, you will never get moksha. And remember, this is the Hatha Yoga view. So all of us have done long years of Hatha Yoga, right? Even then, we should be aware that Hatha Yoga will never give you moksha. Why? Many yogis will get upset to say this.
Because
What is
moksha is not related to only body, no.
Yeah, Hatha Yoga is anatma. As
Hmm.
long as you are focused on anatma, Hatha Yoga means what? Control over the body. And to extend that, control over the mind also. But neither control of the body nor control of the mind is moksha. Moksha is understanding that I am neither the body nor the mind. Right? Therefore, in the Vyavaharika's world, which we call triangular format means you are surrounded by 3 things. I, the Jiva, the universe, Jagat, and Ishvara. In this triangular format, your most powerful enemies are what? Karma and Kala. Karma means Prarabdha and Kala. You can never escape from them. You know, Wali, the story of Wali, right? Wali and Sugriva. There was only
Yeah, the
one place
Ramayana.
where Wali could not access. What was that? Sugriva was chased by Wali all over the world. That was the story. Only one place where Sugriva was safe. What was that? Okay, you don't have to get the name.
I don't remember it.
With the Lord?
No, there was a cave, a mountain, where there was a curse saying that if Wali entered that mountain, he would die. And therefore, ultimately, Sugriva was safe only there. And here, what is the comparison? This Kala and Karma Valis. You are Sugriva. And Kala and Karma are chasing you all over the place. Where are you safe?
In the cave of the heart. Her
What is there in the cave of the heart?
Shiva.
No. The only thing, the only entity which cannot be touched by Kala or Karma is what?
Atman.
Bhaira.
Atman,
Brahman, of
right?
course.
We are talking about 2 things, Atma and Atma. This Kala Karma are always present in the world of Anatma. The only place where it will not be present is Atma. Therefore, the only place where you can minimize the impact, even if you say that I can't completely stop the impact of Kala and Karma, is the Atma. And that means, if you say I am going to sit in the cave of Atma, what does it mean? It means that I have to understand very clearly that Kala and Karma are both mithya. You have to have jnana. Okay. On a flip side, you can say that Kala is the enemy, time is the enemy, but time is also the final savior. How? Anything which comes in time goes in time, right? Even your most painful, days will be numbered in time. They go away in time. At the worst, the body dies in time. That death takes away all these problems. And therefore, as at the anatma level, you have to understand that your control is extremely minimal. And the only way to have some amount of peace is to negate that anatma as mithya. And that doesn't mean that you negating anatma as mithya doesn't mean that you ignore anatma. You give it the right amount of uh, care. Take care of it. If body is sick, look after it. Mind is disturbed, do meditation. But Anatma is not Paramarthika Satyam. It is not absolute Satyam, nor is it Pratibhasika Satyam. That you have to remember. Pratibhasika Satyam cannot bother you. Paramarthika Satyam cannot be bothered. But Anatma is Vyavaharika Satyam. So you should accept that without any judgment. I have a mind, I have a body. They have problems. Now, because they have problems, you should not curse yourself or curse the mind or the body. Accept it as it is without judgment. Right? So SPG has a very nice saying. He says the mind, ahankara, you should neighborize the mind. What does it mean? Don't adopt the mind, neighborize it.
Just give it as much importance as you give to a neighbor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your neighbor, he has a problem, you will sympathize with him, right? You will sympathize with him, you will sit with him, you will tell him not to worry. But his problem will not affect you. Why? Because it is not your problem, it is the neighbor's problem. And therefore, the best way of handling the mind is to think of it as a neighbor. Don't ever adopt it. Don't say it is mine. Say it is my neighbor sitting in the next house. And this is the only way that you can come to moksha, which is why he says, Vimuktaye na anya pantaha asti. There is no other path for liberation. Every sadhana, remember, is useful for chitta shuddhi. But moksha is possible only through Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Jivo Brahma eva naparaha. Only through jnana. Okay. We will look at the next mantra. Mantra number 10.
So Acharya understanding the mithyatvam is the essence of this jnanam. And
yes, unless you understand the world as mithya, remember you will never be able to accept that you are Satyam. In fact, in that Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya is the more important part and the more difficult part.
Also the first step.
Also the first, unless you know that the world is mithya, which includes your mind and body. See, once you are clear, intellectually committed to the fact that world is mithya, mind and body is mithya, nothing troubles you, right? Because you accept everything. And therefore, it's very easy to say that since nothing troubles me, therefore I must be Satyam.
Thank you.
Okay. Now the 10th mantra. Sarvabhutastamatmanam.
Sarvabhutasthamaatmanam.
Sarvabhutani chatmani.
Sarvabhutani
Sarvabhutani Chatmani
Chatmani.
Sampashyan Brahma Paramam.
Sampashyan
Sampashyan
Brahma
Brahma
Paramam.
Paramam
Yati Nanyena Hetuna.
Yatinanyena
Yatinanyena
Hetuna.
Hetuna.
Okay. Sampashyan. So Pashyan means to see. Sampashyan means Samyak Pashyan, seeing very clearly. Atmanam, oneself, where Sarva Bhutastam, in all beings. That is the first part. Sampashyan Atmanam Sarvabhutastam. Seeing myself in every living being. And Sarvabhutani Atmani. And seeing all living beings in myself. What happens? Yati Paramam Brahman. One gets moksha, na anyena hetuna, not by any other means. So, Sampashyan Brahma, by clearly understanding Nirguna Brahman, which is I, the Sakshi Chaitanya, right? What happens? Paramam Brahmayati. One merges with Brahman, or one understands that I am Brahman. This is called moksha. Na anyena hetuna, not by any other sadhana. And this is very, very clearly to be understood. Because when Vedantins say that karma does not give moksha, we are not saying that karma has no use. And we are not saying that the path of karma is useless. In fact, we keep on saying that karma is very, very useful as a preparatory sadhana because it must give you chitta shuddhi. And karma and upasana prepare us by giving us chitta shuddhi. They cannot come to, you cannot come to Vedanta thinking, Vedanta vichara without chitta shuddhi. On the other hand, if you don't do karma and upasana and come directly to Vedanta, Vedanta vichara will not give you chitta shuddhi, and therefore you will not be able to understand Vedanta. Right? That is why you will find that even in the Vedantic ashramas, where you are taught for hours, you are taught Vedanta and like the Upanishads. There are temples with a regular rituals. Deeparadhana, satsanga, bhajan, japa, all these things. Why? Because Chitta Shuddhi is a must. And therefore, as Vedantins, we should never look down upon sadhana, these kind of sadhana. Never criticize the karma, but at the same time, remember that every sadhana has a particular uh, fruit, right? And you must know what sadhana gives what fruit. This is what Krishna talked about. Vyavasayika Atmika Buddhi. You must know which step gives you what result and which step comes after which step. So he says Sarva Bhutastam Atmana. That Brahman is available as Atma in all the bodies. Bhutaha, in all the bodies. Sarva Shariram. So you should not lose sight of the fact that Brahman is present in everybody and that Brahman which is available in everybody is called Atma. You should not lose sight of that fact. Everybody is sentient only because of the consciousness principle. Therefore, you should recognize that everybody is alive and sentient only because of that principle. So everybody is like a flower. All the flowers are in one consciousness, in one Atma. And that is why Atma is called Antaryama. We saw this in another Upanishad. Na pranena na panena mrityo jivati kaschana. Which Upanishad?
Kathopanishad.
Katha Upanishad. So neither by prana nor apana does any person live. But they live because something else on which these two depend. And Krishna also says the same thing. Utkramantam siddham vapi Gunjanam va gunanvitam vimudhananu pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. The people whose eyes are veiled, they don't recognize him, who resides in the body, right? And who experiences objects and who has gunas. But who recognizes him? Only the person who has a eye of wisdom. Pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. And that's why the whole thing is about this only. You have to understand that you are everywhere and everybody is in you also. So Sarva Bhutani Chatmani, all beings exist in me. the complete reverse of the earlier statement, Sarva Bhutastam Atma. So you are saying that there is space in all the containers. That is the initial appreciation of space. But the advanced appreciation is what? That really speaking, the containers are in the space. Right? Because space cannot be divided. Therefore, initially you start by saying that Atma is in everybody. But then you say that everybody is actually in Atma. All the bodies, planets, stars, galaxies, everything exists in one Atma. This is what is the spiritual journey. So initially you can start by saying that Ishvara is great and I am a sadhaka. This is bhakti. But Krishna himself talked about four stages of bhakti. Artha, Artharthi, Jigyasu, Jnani. So in the first three, Bhagavan is separate from you. But in the last stage, Jnani, you have to claim that I am Bhagavan. Krishna himself says, Jnani tu Atmaiva me mata. Jnani and I are not two different things. So in the fourth stage of bhakti, you have to claim that I am Paramatma. Everything is born of me. Everything I maintain. Everything I destroy. In summary, the first part of the mantra says that the wise man should see Atma in all the bodies, should see himself in all the bodies. And the second part says that he should then see all the bodies in himself. And this is what Krishna said in the sixth chapter. Sarvabhutastam atmanam sarvabhutani chatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha. So with this, we'll stop for today. Any questions? Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you.
Om Tat Sat.
Appreciation.
Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you, Acharya.